Financial literacy is one of the most important aspects of life in general, whether you just graduated high school or you just graduated from your house to a nursing home. Either way, having knowledge about how to manage your finances correctly is very important. After doing some research, I've found what experts and my dad say are the most important things for teens and adults to know about financing. Nowadays, many schools have financial teaching programs, and if you're watching this video, you're probably enrolled in one too. Schools have had these programs for a while, as even when my dad was in school, he took one of these classes.
Okay, so when I was in high school, I felt like there were, we had a lot of financial fitness classes. There were several classes that I had to take in high school that dealt with finances and stuff. So I felt like I kind of we were taught about a lot of this stuff, but the issue that I felt like that I had was that I didn't really understand the importance of a lot of these things, just because of life experience, it's hard to, sometimes these ideas are a little more abstract.
These classes should honestly be required in high school, as they teach you some of the most valuable information to know going into young adulthood. Next, let's look at some of the things that experts and a real adult say teens should know. Every source I could find said the most important thing to know is how to file taxes, and for good reason. It's a legal requirement for everyone that makes money in some capacity to file their taxes. 22% of young adults, including millennials and Gen Z, don't know how to file their taxes, which isn't technically a large percentage, but that's still a very large amount of people that still rely on their parents to help them file taxes. If you don't want to end up in jail, I'd recommend doing some research. Another really important topic to know about is budgeting your money.
What do you think is the most important thing someone needs to know about finances?
The most important thing?
Everything is important, obviously, but what do you think is one crucial thing that is necessary to know?
If I had to pick one thing, then I would say how to make a realistic budget and stick to it is the most important thing.
Why do you think that's so important?
Because it affects your day-to-day life. You're gonna have bills and you're gonna have an income. If you decide to work, so being able to manage that money in a way that so that it grows and that you learn how to save and that you have the money, you're not spending more than you're making, you're not going into debt, learning how to make a budget is very, very important, as well as sticking to it.
Many experts agree and say that budgeting is important, as if you don't have any money to spend, you can't exactly put these other strategies into place. Creating a budgeting plan is specifically important. I personally put 20% of my paycheck into savings, and whatever I don't spend by the time I get my next paycheck, I also put into savings. I make sure to gamble as much of my spending money as possible, as I'll always have backup money saved. After all, 89% of gamblers quit right before they win big, so keep that in mind. As well as budgeting, it's important to understand how to limit your own personal spending.
I think the one piece of advice I would give would be to make more money than you spend.
Yeah.
Just gotta break it down to one thing: making more money than you spend.
Yeah, and that goes into just a lot of other things. It lets you be a lot more free.
Exactly. If you can manage your budget and you can stick to it, then you're able to save money. And unfortunately, we live in a society where money is important to be able to do things. So if you want to be able to do things, you've got to have the ability to pay for those things, right?
Yeah.
So learning how to make that happen is very important. And I think it took me a long time to figure that out. So, yeah.
Understanding what you actually need versus what you want is crucial to budgeting.
Was there anything you weren't taught that you wish you were?
I think the importance of maybe buying a home, and I think that's a very important thing that can help you in life. And I don't think that the emphasis was there.
Yeah.
A lot of the advice given for teenagers is the most crucial baseline things you need to know, such as taxes and budgeting. But what about for adults? Investing, while not necessarily a requirement for life, allows you to grow your wealth in ways you couldn't achieve by just holding a stable job. Real estate, as my dad talked about, is one thing to invest in that can lead to a lot of growth and is much more stable than the stock market, or at the very least more predictable. The stock market can still be a good way to attain more wealth, but investing long term is important, as trying to predict what the market will be like short term is a very risky strategy. Diversifying your portfolio is also important, otherwise you're going to sink all your money into something that might be unreliable.
Do you invest? And if so, like, how? Like, stock market, real estate?
We have diverse investments. This house is one of our investments, right? Real estate is an important way to grow wealth. And like I was saying earlier, that's one thing that I wish I had done a lot earlier in life was buy a house, right? Which is a big undertaking. We have stock, we have mutual funds, we have some retirement plans and stuff. So we have a wide range. I think we're pretty well diversified as far as our savings and investments.
While budgeting is important for anyone to know, as you get into adulthood, saving also becomes a very large priority, as it is pretty much just as important. Creating an emergency fund is one thing that is crucial, because what if something happens? What if you get fired and can't find another job for a while? Having money saved up for a scenario like that is important. Saving for retirement is also important. A lot of people say that retirement isn't an age, but a financial number, that once you reach that number, you can comfortably retire. There's a lot to know about financing, and it's really important to be educated. Whether you do your own research or take a class such as this, preparing yourself for your own future allows you to be much more comfortable with the spending choices you make, as you'll be financially literate.